to be politically oriented? Do you want a platform where you get updated with socio-political issues? Then Vigilance is the right place for you. Join Folashade Adebi every Fridays 4 p.m. WAT to discuss socio-political issues in society. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Change does not roll in on the wheels of inevitability, but comes through continuous struggle." Hello, listeners. Welcome to a brand new episode of Vigilant, a podcast where we discuss socio-political issues in society. Join me every Fridays for interesting and enlightening episodes. I am your host, Folashade Adebi. You can follow us for more updates by searching Veegil.com on your web browser, Veegil as in Veegil.com. Veegil.com is a debate platform where users get to interact and discuss issues affecting society. You can follow us on all our social media platforms on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, Veegil Media, LinkedIn, Veegil, and Instagram, Veegil_media. And as always, with me is Aminat. Welcome back, Aminat.
It's nice to be here.
Okay, let's go over people's comments on the poverty rates in Nigeria. The first one here is from a user called Beams Sola. She said, "Every problem of Nigeria is intertwined. If the issue of unemployment and insecurity is solved, then poverty will decrease." Aminat, please up read the next comment.
Okay, so this one is from Ayomide123. He said the poverty rate in Nigeria is alarming and it is the root cause of all our problems. If we are to remain as a prosperous country, tackling poverty should be our main priority.
Thanks, Ayomide123 and Bisola. That will be all on our comment section. Endeavor to sign up to the platform and participate in the ongoing debate. Welcome back. Today, we'll be discussing the topic changing the narrative. Prominent individuals have changed the narrative from time immemorial. We have the likes of Nelson Mandela, who stood to end apartheid in South Africa. We have Martin Luther King Jr., the spokesperson and leader in the American civil rights movement. Here in Nigeria, we have the likes of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who introduced free education in Nigeria. We have the late Lateef Jakande, the first civilian governor of Lagos State, whose tenure saw the birth of Lagos State University. Also, Ahmadu Bello, Nnamdi Azikwe, Tafawa Balewa, Herbert, Macaulay, and Anthony Enahoro. They were nationals who fought for Nigerian independence. They all changed the status quo in the society which we enjoy today. Unfortunately, the essence of this past struggle is gradually being erased. The Nigeria our heroes past fought for is becoming a shadow of ourselves. Aminat, what are your thoughts on this?
Quite an interesting topic, I must say. Well, in today's world, people appear to be more self-centered rather than being selfless.
Okay.
Just like you mentioned, Obafemi Awolowo, right? Part of his selflessness was the free education policy introduced in the Western region at the time, right? And this gave room for a whole lot of persons to tap into this to gain some form of education at the time, right? In fact, parents that would ordinarily have excuses as to why they could not, have their wards or children in schools, were able to, get their children to also
Enjoy
benefit, benefit from this scheme that was introduced. Because some of them would say, okay, maybe they didn't have the finance and all of those, but these were all eroded, with the free education policy Even those that would want to argue that they wanted their kids to be on farmlands and all of those, over time had no other option but to seek
allow
the
them
path
go.
of education for their wards and children, which was a very beautiful thing at the time, because even through that scheme we realized that even parents who would ordinarily say their girl child should not be educated, started looking towards
Yeah.
the path of education for the girl child too, and if you look at it today, that was like one of the that was like a beginning of female children, getting to acquire that form of education. And today you see most of all these beneficiaries of
Yes.
the then
They are now
education
ministers.
policy, exactly.
Yes.
They are now
Deputy governors and all that. Yeah.
exactly. They are now in various positions, in society today. In fact, you would see that it's not just even holding these positions in terms of public positions, even in the private sector. You find beneficiaries of this education, this is making waves
Policy.
to, you understand, in almost every phase of the society in today's society, right? But now it's just sad that despite efforts that the government seems to be making, we are now seeing a decline in the number of enrollments of children in schools, especially in the northern parts of Nigeria, following the activities of kidnappers, banditries, and all have you, right? So this is just a pathetic situation, because I can just imagine if the likes of Obafemi Awolowo, those that fought for
That
things
for
like
this,
this,
yes.
what would they think of if they were here today to see what's going on in Nigeria? It would be a very
Sadness story.
in fact, I can't even just picture what it is, and looking at it, there's even the report from UNESCO saying we have about 10.5 million children that are out of school. That's some very awkward statistics there, and it's devastating to think of it, and honestly, I just hope somehow we are able to tackle the insecurity we have, and perhaps have the good old days
Back.
Yeah.
Or maybe move forward.
exactly.
Okay, from your argument, you mentioned people like who enjoyed the free education. Now we can see those small children they are not adults in this society.
Exactly.
Yeah, but my question is, why are these privileges not passed down to this generation? Why are those adults not implementing what they enjoyed then? Why are they not implementing it in today's world?
Okay, so by privileges you mean like reciprocating the free
Free education,
across
yes.
board and all.
Yes.
Well, like I said earlier, the honest truth is we have more self-centered people in today's world than those who are actually patriots like you would have. It takes a whole lot for someone to champion a cause like that, right? So the honest truth is the fact that we have this people at the helms of affairs, if they are not patriotic towards trying to see that things like this are passed on, it will be difficult for these things to be implemented. Because come to think of it, those that are in the legislative arms, the national assemblies, and all of those, they are people to call to really that can really take these
Actions,
moves.
yes.
You understand? But if that's not part of what they feel is going to represent or give glamour to what they feel they want for themselves, then they see no reason apparently to want to champion such a
So
cause.
they are being self-centered.
That's just the thing, because everybody wants to see what works best for me. And away from that, even when they feel they don't want to play the self-centeredness part of themselves, right?
Okay.
And they feel, okay, let's try to be patriotic. What happens to the other things that we all know? For every slight decision in Nigeria today, there's usually the tribal card that comes to play.
Yes.
There's usually the religious card on the table. There's usually the gender balance talk and debate. So, everything just seems way too complicated these days, you understand, for anything to work. So it becomes difficult for them to see to it that this thing moves on to the next generation. We have a couple of states where they've made mention of the fact that they want to do this free education scheme for children. But how successful has it been? Do you understand? Even if you look at sometimes some years back when the federal government wanted to even introduce the food scheme to feed children
And
school
schools,
children and
yes,
everything. There are so many bias that was coming out of there. You understand? In fact, when they said they were going to kickstart the program from a couple of states, people started raising blows as to why would you decide that these are the states or these are the schools? What are the parameters for which they came to that conclusion? Do you understand? So many cards and everything just comes to play that at the end of the day, you begin to wonder how effective or how efficient would this play out. Do you understand? Even look at during the COVID last year, when they resorted to, since schools were closed, we would, begin to take this meal reliefs, you understand, to children in their homes. You understand? At the end of the day, like, who can we legit say
receive
these things? You understand? So there are so many things that just wrong with the whole system that at the end of the day you can't just pinpoint if this thing would even achieve as much impact as the education scheme achieved during the Obafemi Awolowo this thing at the time. You understand?
So are we saying Obafemi Awolowo did not face those challenges then? Is it that the Nigeria of then is different from the Nigeria of now?
Well, perhaps. Don't forget that the Obafemi Awolowo scheme was the Western. So perhaps, it was for the Yorubas and you understand. So maybe it wasn't the kind of issues that would come up would not be as complicated as what we would have now. You understand?
Okay.
And then I think he was able to, make it cut across board at the time. So, and the population size then was not what we have now. Perhaps I'm just trying to look at the modalities, you understand? But somehow he was able to manage it and it was really impactful. Do you understand? So, having said that, one would also, like you're trying to say, you understand, why would these beneficiaries, not stamp their feet on the ground to see that this scheme works? Well, the thing is, we generally as a people, we have this attitude that is sort of destructive too. Destructive in the sense that now let's even look at even the West that Obafemi Awolowo started this thing, right? And it's one would argue why has it not continued across all the states in the West and all of those? Now you begin to look at it from this angle. The school child, for instance, we all pass through secondary school. When we are in SS3, the whole excitement, the whole
jubilation that we are moving to the next phase.
Going out of the school, I'm leaving the school, I don't, we get so high up with excitement that we begin to get destructive. Some people go as far as damaging the tables, the chairs, the blackboards, and the likes, forgetting that the next set ought to utilize
this benefit to
infrastructure. Now, this thing keeps going on because these are things that have been ongoing from time immemorial, right? So when we continue in that circle, then you begin to wonder what is left. That's why you see most of the public schools we have today, they are just a shadow of themselves because there's basically nothing. You understand? Because it becomes difficult. year in, year out, students
they
leaving,
keep
the damages.
preparing.
You understand? And yes, we keep hearing our leaders clamoring and screaming that there are no resources, there are no funds. You understand? So all of these things, at the end of the day, these are things that ruins the system gradually.
Hmm.
Now, even away from this, you see that these same people that have left, that have done this damage, they end up moving to other places
Other sectors.
in life. Then they go ahead to become what have you. And you still go on with this same mindset of, once I'm leaving a place and I feel like I don't need anything, from, or maybe this particular phase I'm living, I won't be.
I won't be needing this thing.
Yes, or
Yes.
there will be no need for me to want to come back later to eat. People just have this I don't care attitude. You understand?
Okay.
So that at the end of the day, they cause so much damage that those that are now left, that they've left behind, they're almost left with little or nothing. You understand? To have
Okay.
the system functioning again. You understand? And then even those two, when they feel okay, it is time to also move on, they continue
They
the
continue
same.
the same trend.
Do you understand? That's why you see that even in our National Assembly, we all have this mentality of when a new legislative arm is coming, or even in the presidency, when a new president is coming
yes.
in, they throw
They
away
change
the
everything.
furniture, everything. We just feel it's not good enough, you know. And
And
all of this is our taxpayers' funds.
we're wasting resources.
Exactly.
Mm.
In our homes, we use some furniture, some fittings, some things. We use it for years.
Mm.
So why are they now making it seem like these things cannot still be used by the new set coming in? Or was it that the president or the previous legislators, when they were going, they damaged all the chairs they used and everything? That's why we have to bring in new ones. Or the cars they used. Every 4 years we are getting new set of cars, and you're wondering, is that how it's meant to be? You understand? So why is it that we can't get to be people that learn that these things we can pass on to the next generation?
Mm.
You understand? So generally it is just not in our, because at the end of the day, we just clamor government, government, government. It's the people that makes up the government.
Mm.
So if we already have this attitude growing up of I'm using something, I'm done with it, I throw it away, or I just render it useless for the next person coming. These are things that the ripple effect is what we can see. You understand? So
Okay.
these are things that we really, really have to work on. Also, it's a bit appalling to see that our education system over time has become, I don't even know what to call it. In fact, it's so bad that almost everyone agrees. It's almost like a consensus that our graduates are no longer employable, right? And then, in fact, there's no thanks to the incessant strikes we have. It's one thing that you're in school, right? And then you have to pause abruptly. You resume today, you're 2 months, and you're just some weeks to your exams, and then there's a strike. And then you go for the strike 9 months. You can't even remember where you left off.
Then you come back
Then
and
you come
start
back
reading
and
fast.
then
Prepare for an
so it's
exam,
just
you
like a
don't know.
fire brigade approach for the students. You understand? And then everybody just believes by the time you are done with your entire 4, 5, 7 years, maybe all thanks to strikes, and then you come 7 years and you finally graduate, and then someone is now asking you at an interview, you should know this. When even while you were in the system, because of the strikes, you can't even remember anything. You just have to probably cram to your exam so that you can at least just pass.
And that's Nigerian student matter. La cram la po. After the exam, you don't need to ask them questions. They don't know it anymore.
Look at it. 2 weeks to exam, we go on strike. Now we are resumed, and they're telling you the next week is exam. What are your options after 9 months at all? You just have to, whatever works. Do you understand? So these are issues. Now that's just even the one the strike does. Another is the syllabus that those students use.
Hmm.
You have some syllabus that, in fact, by the time you look at everything you have to cover in a 4 or 5 month semester, you begin to ask, how realistic is this? Do you understand? Because it's so jam-packed, all in the name of you want to go and take electives from a field that you basically do not need.
Hmm.
You understand? So one begins to wonder, why not just stick to, okay, I came to study accounting. Focus on accounting related stuff. You understand?
Well, I feel
Split it over the
I feel
semesters that are available.
okay. So I feel about the elective you mentioned. I feel it's just for us to have like a general view of all things.
Yes, but you would also agree with me that some of those things are irrelevant. They are not needed.
Yes, that's true.
They are very relevant. True, some things are relevant. You need it, no doubt. But a bulk of it, do you understand?
Hmm.
And then, even while you are at it, you realize that it's a different ball game from what you have been taught to what you even have to go and sit for in exams. So that at the end of the day, you begin to ask yourself, our examinations, are they a true representation of, are they a true way to evaluate performance?
Hmm.
Do you understand? So there are so many ills with the system that one feels needs to be addressed. But unfortunately, even this, most of our lecturers
Okay.
that are in this system, they also pass through the same system.
Hmm.
Do you understand? One would expect that since you pass through it, you realize that these things are not as efficient or effective as they should be.
Hmm.
One would expect them that all these strikes are going to be to address things like this. You understand? By the end of the day, you realize that the strikes and all is just fighting for their pay raises and all of those.
Yes.
Not necessarily as if they are trying to fight for something
For
to
the
be
student
better
or the
than-
interest of the student.
Do you understand?
Hmm.
So these are concerns that I feel that people should be able to, when they, especially when they are at a particular position, you understand, to effect change. You understand? I feel we should all try as people, wherever we find ourselves, to ensure that we can, as much as possible, change the narrative.
Hmm. Um. Okay, Aminat, you said you made mention of something about the lecturers fighting using the strike as a means to increase their salary and all that. So, and they are not fighting in the interest of the students. So I have this thing. These lecturers, you also made mention of lecturers giving the students vigorous syllabus that they can't really cope with. Now, my question is, these lecturers have passed through some lecturers that will be like, oh, A is for God, the B is for me, and the C is for you. Yet, when these same people become the future lecturers, I hope you understand my point. When they become lecturers themselves, they tend to repeat the same circle. Like, so is it safe to say this trait that they are getting it, or I don't know, are they recycling this trait, or are they being, is this just something we see in self-centered individuals?
Well, I think as regards that, perhaps it's just I don't know, maybe an untold indoctrination into the world of
Yes.
being lecturers or something. I don't know.
Like, they just tend to be this wicked and mean.
But I just feel, honestly, I just feel whatever it is, lecturers, especially in terms of what we just talked about, right? They honestly have to just change this mindset, because it's not nice enough, because some people have committed suicide based off things like this. You understand? So I think it's high time they change their mindset and begin to give students what they truly, you understand, what they truly deserve right? That's
Okay.
just what I would say. I should get that, and then put sentiments aside, and begin to even give students assessments, that exams, questions that would actually test knowledge, and not just we're following the syllabus that is talking about this, and then you're going to bring a Cambridge or Oxford University grade kind of stuff into what we are having. So
Oh, okay. Thanks, Aminat, for the enlightenment. So my next question is actually very similar, even it's kind of close to what I just mentioned. So I mentioned about Nigerians passing through these unfavorable conditions. You get, so when they like get into the system, when they are now the system, let me
like
put
the
it
place
that
of
way.
authority.
Yes, when they are now in positions of authorities, why do they continue with these ridiculous policies? Why can't they change it? Why can't they make amend? Why can't they implement some changes?
Honestly, that's something I won't be able to give a definite answer to. But I would also want to us to recall that recently, we had this circular from federal government saying that they would be that doctors, that have the status of interning, you
Okay.
understand, or currently running their housemanships, or
Okay.
even NYSC doctors at that,
Oh, okay.
that they would be taken off um, the payment scheme, and they will just be receiving only some form of allowance, because apparently they're apparently just training, you understand, they're learning on the job, so they shouldn't be considered as people that will be full-blown salary earners and likes. And it's pathetic, because the person that actually signed that is actually a medical doctor. And I begin to wonder, when you were at that meeting, because don't forget that the circular came after those category of doctors. You
Okay.
understand? After some of them, complained about unpaid salaries.
Hmm.
So people are clamoring that they are not received salaries,
Salary.
and then you come up with
You
something
underpaid
like
them.
this, and then you're now wondering, in whose interest did the doctors that were at the helm of affairs, did they go into that meeting that saw that circular come out? In whose interest did they go to that meeting for?
So we can see some self-centeredness there.
Do you understand? Because probably the person that was there felt, that is not my own salary that is on the line here. The person felt, okay, it's fine. Do you understand? But imagine if it were to be the doctors themselves that were in that meeting for their own pay,
Interest,
would
yes.
they go ahead and sign something like that? So we really need to get to do more as a people, honestly. We really need to do a whole lot more for ourselves. You understand? Because a whole lot of persons coming behind are looking up to us, and the honest truth is, some decisions we make when we are in the ends of affairs could either make or mar a
The
whole
next
lot of
one,
persons.
yes.
So please, let's do better as a people.
Thanks, Aminat, for your contribution to the show. Dear listeners, impact change in whatever position you find yourself. Like, remember that the ripple effects of this little change will develop the nation. And that will be all on today's segment. To join in the ongoing debate, kindly drop your comments on the platform, veegil.com. And they will to share this podcast with your friends, your family, and loved ones. For our YouTubers, kindly like, share, comment, subscribe, and click on the notification button for more updates. Bye-bye.
Bye.